March 20th, 1995, Tokyo's morning rush hour. The city pulsed with energy as millions of people hurried through the labyrinthine subway system, each person focused on the day ahead, unaware that history was about to take a dark and tragic turn. The trains were packed tighter than ever with office workers, students and families all squeezed together, lost in their own thoughts. No one suspected that beneath the surface of this ordinary morning, a nightmare was about to unfold. Aum Shinrikyo, a secretive and fanatical cult, had meticulously planned an attack on 3 of Tokyo's busiest subway lines. Their members carried plastic bags filled with liquid sarin, a colorless, odorless, and deadly nerve agent, hidden among the crowds. Their goal was mass destruction and chaos. As the trains approached Kasumigaseki Station, the attackers calmly punctured the bags with sharpened umbrella tips, releasing the invisible poison into the air. Within moments, the deadly gas began to spread through the tightly packed cars. Passengers started coughing violently, their eyes stinging and vision blurring. Some felt a strange tightness in their chests, while others collapsed to the floor, unable to breathe. Confusion and fear rippled through the crowd as the symptoms worsened. Panic erupted. People stumbled out of the cars, gasping for air, some dragging unconscious friends or strangers behind them. The platforms became scenes of chaos, with bystanders desperately trying to help the injured as the true scale of the disaster became clear. The gas spread silently and relentlessly, turning the subway into a death trap. Belongings were left behind in the rush to escape, and the air was thick with fear and confusion. The attack shattered Tokyo's sense of safety, exposing how even the most advanced and orderly societies can be vulnerable to low-tech terror. The city, once seen as a symbol of security and efficiency, was left reeling. Chemical weapons were no longer distant threats confined to battlefields or faraway lands. They could strike any city at any time with devastating consequences. The world watched in shock as the news spread. The Tokyo sarin attack forced the world to confront a terrifying new reality, that ordinary places could become targets and that the tools of terror could be simple yet deadly. The tragedy exposed critical gaps in emergency preparedness, from the ability to quickly identify chemical agents to the urgent need for effective treatment and decontamination procedures. First responders faced unprecedented challenges as they worked to save lives and contain the threat. The lessons learned from that day have shaped how cities around the world prepare for chemical threats. Training, awareness, and rapid response have become essential parts of urban safety. Today, awareness and readiness remain our best defense. By remembering Tokyo's darkest hour, we honor the victims and remind ourselves of the importance of vigilance, preparation, and community resilience in the face of unexpected danger. As the deadly nerve agent sarin began to fill the subway cars and platforms, what started as a normal morning commute quickly descended into confusion, then outright terror. The air became thick with an invisible threat, and panic spread as people realized something was terribly wrong. At first, many passengers thought there had been a fire or a gas leak. Alarms blared, and the acrid smell in the air sent people scrambling to escape, pushing past each other in a desperate rush for the exits. The chaos was immediate and overwhelming. In the midst of the confusion, station attendant Kazumasa Takahashi noticed a leaking package on the platform. Believing it to be a routine spill, he bravely tried to clean it up. Tragically, he collapsed within minutes, becoming the first victim of the attack, a stark reminder of how unprepared everyone was for such an event. Other commuters, desperate to help those who had fallen or were struggling to breathe, unknowingly exposed themselves to the nerve agent. Their well-intentioned actions only spread the contamination further, as the invisible poison clung to clothing and skin. Staggering out of subway exits, victims suffered from streaming eyes, violent vomiting, and convulsions. Many collapsed on the sidewalks, gasping for air and begging for help from passers-by who had no idea what was happening. Emergency phone lines were instantly overwhelmed as calls for help poured in from across the city. Operators struggled to keep up, unable to provide clear answers as the scale of the disaster became apparent. Some commuters, only mildly affected at first, continued on to their offices, unaware they were carrying traces of the poison with them. This silent spread meant that workplaces across Tokyo were soon affected, as symptoms began to appear far from the original attack sites. The attack seeped into daily life, carried by survivors who wandered the city in shock. The boundaries between the incident and the rest of Tokyo blurred as the effects rippled outward. Thousands of people flooded hospitals, arriving by taxi, on foot, or carried by friends. Emergency rooms were quickly overwhelmed, with patients suffering from symptoms doctors had rarely seen before. Most hospitals had no idea they were dealing with a chemical attack. Medical staff initially treated the symptoms as routine illnesses, unaware of the true danger or how to protect themselves. Doctors and nurses, unprepared for the sudden influx of patients with severe and unfamiliar symptoms, struggled to provide care. Many medical workers themselves became exposed, further straining the already chaotic response. The lack of clear information paralyzed emergency services. Police, ambulance crews, and firefighters waited for instructions, unsure of what they were facing or how to respond safely. What began as chaos on the subway tracks quickly escalated into a citywide medical crisis. Tokyo's emergency response was pushed to its absolute limits, as authorities struggled to coordinate efforts and contain the disaster. The movement of people, fleeing the subways, seeking help, or simply going about their day, turned a targeted subway attack into a sprawling citywide disaster, leaving Tokyo forever changed in its wake. Tokyo's emergency response was immediate, with sirens echoing through the city as ambulances, fire trucks, and police cars rushed to the scene. The city's well-trained teams sprang into action, determined to help as many people as possible. However, despite their bravery, responders lacked protection against the invisible threat of chemical agents. Most had no specialized gear or training for such a rare and deadly attack. Firefighters and paramedics entered the contaminated subway stations, unaware of the full danger. Many became victims themselves, collapsing from exposure as they tried to save others. Over 130 rescue workers suffered sarin exposure, which not only put their lives at risk but also hampered ongoing rescue efforts. The toll on emergency personnel was devastating. Hospitals across Tokyo were quickly overwhelmed by thousands of patients flooding in, many with symptoms doctors had never encountered before. The chaos in emergency rooms was unprecedented. Delays in identifying sarin as the cause meant that treatment was often too late for many victims. Medical staff struggled to understand and respond to the mysterious symptoms. The subway, once a symbol of Tokyo's efficiency, became a toxic crime scene. Entire sections of the city were paralyzed, with commuters stranded and daily life brought to a halt. Special chemical units and hazmat suits were called in, working tirelessly to decontaminate trains and stations. Their efforts were crucial in preventing further harm. Makeshift decontamination showers were hastily set up outside hospitals, as emergency workers tried to prevent the deadly agent from spreading any further. The crisis exposed the urgent need for better coordination and communication between emergency services. Confusion and miscommunication slowed the response at critical moments. In the aftermath, the Tokyo attack became a global case study, highlighting why integrated emergency management and preparedness for chemical threats are absolutely vital in modern cities. The Tokyo attack forced Japan and the world to rethink emergency preparedness. Public awareness became crucial. Uninformed actions had increased casualties. Governments began stockpiling antidotes, upgrading first responder equipment, and running chemical attack drills. Training and coordination became priorities to avoid confusion in future crises. The attack revealed the need for long-term medical and psychological support for survivors. Rapid identification of chemical agents became essential. New detection technologies were developed. Portable devices now allow first responders to identify threats within minutes. The tragedy showed that knowledge and preparation save lives. The invisible wounds of chemical attacks linger, but so do the lessons. Preparedness is now a global priority. Chemical agents can be invisible and odorless, but there are warning signs. Look for unexplained vapors, oily droplets, or unusual odors, sometimes like almonds or hay. Dead birds or animals can be early indicators. Sudden widespread symptoms, eye irritation, coughing, nausea, convulsions, signal danger. Different agents cause different symptoms. Nerve agents cause twitching, blister agents cause rashes, choking agents affect breathing, blood agents cause dizziness. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, act immediately. Don't wait for official announcements, seconds count. Move away, get inside, and stay inside if you suspect a chemical threat. Awareness and swift action are your best protection. Recognizing the threat is the first step. Reacting quickly is the next. If you suspect a chemical attack outdoors, move away from the source, upwind if possible. Avoid crowds and confined spaces. Seek fresh air and open space. Once safe, get inside a sturdy building with sealed windows and doors. Remove outer clothing immediately. Double bag it to contain contamination. Wash thoroughly with soap and water, starting from your head down. Flush burning eyes with clean water for at least 10 minutes. Decontamination protects you and others inside. Stay informed. Use official news sources for updates and instructions. Ignore rumors. Follow emergency officials' guidance. Remember, get away, get inside, decontaminate, and stay informed. These steps save lives. If told to shelter in place, make your space as safe as possible from outside air. Go to an interior room with few or no windows. Bathrooms or closets work well. Turn off fans and HVAC systems that draw in outside air. Seal windows, doors, and vents with plastic sheeting and duct tape. Use wet towels for cracks. This creates a temporary barrier against airborne chemicals. Have an emergency kit. Water, food, radio, flashlight, first aid, and medications. Include supplies for pets if needed. Wait for official instructions before leaving your shelter. Patience and adherence to guidance are critical. Your safe room is your fortress. Stay until authorities say it's safe. Individual preparedness is vital, but community resilience is our true strength. The Tokyo attack showed people instinctively help each other, sometimes at risk but always together. Building resilience starts with knowing your neighbors and checking on those who may need help. Participate in local preparedness workshops and encourage emergency planning at work and school. A shared plan means less panic and a more effective response. During a crisis, communicate with your community, share accurate information and support each other. Afterward, help with recovery, volunteer, donate, and offer emotional support. Community bonds are the safety nets in times of crisis. Preparedness and compassion make us stronger than any threat. Together we're not just survivors, we help each other thrive. The Tokyo sarin attack is a stark reminder. Chemical threats are real, but fear isn't a strategy. Knowledge and preparation turn anxiety into empowerment. Preparedness is practical, like wearing a seatbelt or having a fire extinguisher. Simple actions, emergency kits, family plans, sheltering basics make a huge difference. Since 1995, emergency services and public awareness have improved, but safety is everyone's responsibility. Stay informed, be observant, and be ready to act. Our resilience, individually and as a community, is our greatest defense. Honor the victims by taking safety seriously and choosing preparedness over panic. We can't always prevent tragedy, but we control how we respond. With readiness and confidence, we face the future together.